My name is Kassandra Alvarez, and I'm the Communications Director with Rural Arizona Action, and I'll be the MC for today's press conference. Thank you for being here. Gracias por estar aquí. Para los medios en español, la introducción primero será en inglés y después le seguimos en español. Rural Arizona Action works year-round to organize and uplift rural communities across the state. We are also here every week to ensure bills at the legislature don't hurt our communities. Today, we have community members from across rural Arizona join us as we waited for SB 1635 to be read on the floor. This bill would criminalize the only defense networks we have to protect immigrant communities from ICE agents who are murdering people on the streets. That did not happen today. We have friends from Cochise County, from Yavapai County, Pima County, Pinal County, and the greater Phoenix area here today. We are truly representing the whole state of Arizona. They are here to join us today to support an amendment that would instead ban masked ICE agents from operating in our state. Representative Mariana Sandoval also submitted an amendment in the House yesterday in her goal to keep immigrant communities safe as well. Because the fear from many families in Arizona is very real, here in Phoenix and in rural towns, when masked federal agents show up in our neighborhoods, in our churches, our schools, our health centers, fear always follows. Yesterday, lawmakers had the opportunity to prohibit ICE agents from wearing masks while operating in Arizona. Representative Sandoval's amendment did not pass, but we almost expected that. But the issue did not disappear with that vote. If legislators are willing to debate banning protesters from wearing masks or criminalizing alerts, then they must also carry the power to detain and deport. If federal agents who carry the power to detain and deport is allowed to conceal their weapons, let me backtrack that. Why are federal agents who carry the power to detain and deport allowed to conceal their faces? They should not be hiding behind a mask when they are killing our communities. Today, you will hear from legislators and community leaders about why this matters, what is at stake, and what comes next. Thank you for being here. Ahora en español. Mi nombre es Kassandra Alvarez y soy la directora de comunicaciones de Rural Arizona Action y seré la maestra de ceremonias de la conferencia de prensa de hoy. Gracias por estar aquí. Para los medios en español, esto es muy importante para que puedan comunicarlo con nuestras comunidades. Rural Arizona Action trabaja durante todo el año para organizar y fortalecer a las comunidades rurales en todo nuestro estado. También estamos aquí cada semana en el Capitolio para asegurar que las leyes que se debaten no perjudiquen a nuestras comunidades, sea aquí en la ciudad o en las comunidades rurales. Hoy nos acompañan miembros de la comunidad de todo Arizona rural mientras esperábamos que la SB 1635 fuera leído en la Cámara de Senado. Este proyecto de ley criminalizaría las únicas redes de defensa que tenemos para proteger a las comunidades inmigrantes. Eso no ocurrió hoy. Nos acompañaron amigos del condado de Cochise, del condado de Yavapai, del condado de Pima, del condado de Pinal y del área de Phoenix, que los pueden ver aquí atrás. Estuvimos apoyando una enmienda que en cambio prohibiría que agentes de ICE operen con el rostro cubierto en nuestros vecindarios y en todo el estado. La representante Mariana Sandoval también presentó ayer una enmienda en la Cámara con el objetivo de mantener seguras a las comunidades migrantes. Porque el miedo que sienten muchas familias en Arizona es muy real, aquí en Phoenix y también en nuestros pueblos rurales. Cuando agentes federales enmascarados aparecen en nuestros vecindarios, en nuestras iglesias, en nuestras escuelas y en nuestros centros de salud, el miedo nos acompaña. Ayer los legisladores tuvieron la oportunidad de prohibir que agentes de ICE usen máscaras siempre que operen aquí en Arizona. Por supuesto que la enmienda de la representante Sandoval no fue aprobada. Pero el problema no desapareció con esa votación. Si los legisladores están dispuestos a debatir la prohibición de las máscaras para manifestantes o criminalizar las alertas comunitarias, Entonces también deben responder una pregunta más grande. ¿Por qué se permite que agentes federales con el poder de detener y deportar oculten su identidad? Hoy escucharán a legisladores y líderes comunitarios sobre por qué esto importa, qué esto en juego y cuáles son los próximos pasos. Gracias por estar aquí. Me complace mucho presentar primero a la representante Mariana Sandoval, que nos compartirá unas palabras. I'm very happy to first introduce Representative Mariana Sandoval.
Soy medio chaparrita. Move the mic a little bit. Thank you. Vertically challenged. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Mariana Sandoval. I'm state representative for Legislative District 23. And my district is well represented too, parts of Maricopa County, Yuma County, Pima County, and Pinal. And I'm honored to stand with you all today. Thank you for being here. Last night, Republicans pushed through nearly 200 bills, most of them bad. And we voted until 5:30 a.m. this morning. I was literally here like less than 10 hours ago. Just had time to go shower and come back. One bill we debated was House Bill 2862, which is sponsored by Representative Wynn, which would add sentence enhancements to any crime committed while wearing a mask. You know, like the ones that ICE is committing on our streets across this country. And although I don't think that's who he meant, this is not a serious bill. It's a political one. I know because I proved it on the floor during the debate. Yesterday, I proposed a common sense amendment that would prohibit peace officers in Arizona from wearing masks while performing law enforcement duties. It is a simple idea that we in our community know more than anybody is needed. Police have the power to detain, arrest, and use force. With that authority comes the absolute responsibility to remain identifiable to the public they are sworn to protect and serve. When officers conceal their faces during routine duties, it undermines transparency and erodes community trust. Worse, it sends a message of intimidation that is un-American. Importantly, this policy is not unprecedented or extreme. The city of Phoenix, which operates the largest police department in Arizona, already maintains a policy prohibiting officers from wearing facial coverings that obscure their identity while performing their duties. We all know Phoenix PD has had its problems as an agency, but at least on this front, they have demonstrated that such a policy is workable and reasonable. My amendment would have simply established that a standard statewide so that interactions between officers and community members are grounded in mutual trust. House Republicans were not interested in that mutual trust. They were interested in politics and rejected the idea along party lines. They can defeat my amendment, but they can't defeat us. They are getting more desperate and extreme with these tactics, trying to silence you and trespass you from these buildings. They do that because they are losing, not winning. They know the country is not with them. So keep fighting, keep showing up, and we will be right here with you, advocating for our community. Thank you.
You offer a Spanish training by any chance? Podría resumir en español si puede, si no después lo hacemos.
No tengo escrito nada en español, pero básicamente ayer estuvimos aquí hasta las 5:30 de la mañana. Mi nombre es Mariana Sandoval, diputada estatal del Distrito Legislativo 23, y estuvimos aquí hasta las 5:30 de la mañana votando en más de 200 propuestas. Yo hice una enmienda a una de las propuestas de uno de los republicanos para no permitir que haya agentes enmascarados en Arizona. Y obviamente los republicanos no aprobaron mi enmienda, entonces ellos no les interesa que nuestra comunidad esté a salvo. Todo lo que están haciendo es un teatro de una política aquí y no les interesa en realidad proteger a nuestra comunidad. Pero nosotros vamos a seguir abogando, vamos a seguir peleando y les pido a todos que sigan presentándose, que vengan aquí, aunque traten de sacarlos de los edificios, lo hacen porque saben que el pueblo no está con ellos, saben que la gente ya está empezando a ver la realidad de las cosas de estos republicanos y que no les interesa proteger a la gente de la comunidad aquí. Entonces les pido a todos que sigan viniendo, que sigan empujando, que sigan abogando y nosotros vamos a estar aquí con ustedes abogando por la dignidad de toda la comunidad que servimos. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Representante Sandoval. Thank you so much. Up next, we do have Tara Clayton, who is an organizer with Rural Arizona Action and drove more than 3 hours to be here from Cochise County, along with youth who wanted to be here. So, Tara.
Thank you. My name is Tara Clayton. I'm the Cochise County organizer for Rural Arizona Action, and I did drive 3 hours to be here today. I'm standing here at the state capitol because what is happening in our rural communities deserves to be seen in full daylight. In small towns, trust is personal. We know our deputies, we see them at school events, at the grocery store, at church. Trust is built face to face. 2 nights ago, the Sierra Vista police chief spoke about how essential public trust is in effective policing. He was right. Law enforcement only works when people trust the badge and the person behind it. That is why masked federal enforcement is so destabilizing. When agents from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement enter our neighborhoods wearing masks, with the power to detain, deport, and use force, it does not feel like accountability. It feels like fear. And fear ripples. A couple of months ago, ICE raided a local business in Sierra Vista. Workers were shaken because this doesn't happen in our community. Families were terrified. Business owners felt blindsided. That moment spread across our entire community. Just weeks ago, our ICE hotline also received a call from a Tombstone community member who was afraid and unsure of whether ICE had been in a nearby business. Today, we still don't know. In Yuma, through our line, we also received calls of other residents who suspected ICE was at their farm. Today, we also can't confirm because of lack of proper identification. In rural counties, distrust becomes pervasive, and it's happening everywhere, in cities, in our towns, and we'll see this more if it's allowed to continue. We travel from town to town, Sierra Vista to Wilcox, Benson to Bisbee. Our networks are dispersed, but they're deeply connected. We talk, we remember, we do not forget the feeling of betrayal when public power shows up masked and unaccountable. Last Thursday, Mark Daniels, the sheriff of Cochise County, met with the Wilcox Police Department and about 50 other law enforcement officials, including ICE and U.S. Border Patrol, to discuss enforcement strategies in our county. The community was watching. We're still watching. And we're here today because we're fighting it. We have many challenges in our towns that have ripple effects that impact everyone. When we're told that public trust matters, and then we see coordination with masked agents who conceal their identities, the contradiction does not go unnoticed. The more power you carry, the greater your obligation to be visible and accountable, especially with an administration that has said ICE agents have immunity. Even after the murder of 2 legal observers who were not a threat. If you have the power to detain and deport, You should not be allowed to hide your face from the people whose tax dollars fund your operation. We are your friends and your neighbors. We are the people whose taxes pay your salaries. And we demand transparency and accountability from those whose checks we fund. No badges without faces. To Sheriff Daniels and anyone else who sat at that table last Thursday, understand this. We are watching. We're connected across our rural towns. And we're sticking together to bring real community defense to our own neighborhoods. In rural Arizona, reputation matters. Integrity matters. And faces matter. If public authority is legitimate, it should be visible. And we will not forget those who chose secrecy over trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara, for sharing your insight. I'm now happy to introduce Senator Catherine Miranda, who is coming right from the Senate chambers.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Senator Catherine Miranda from District 11. 7 weeks ago into this legislative session, and it's very frustrating, but it's hopeful. Today, here at the legislature, we achieved a victory for the people, a victory that sends a loud message that when we unite and speak loud and clear, we are unstoppable. Like you, I have witnessed the impact of federal enforcement actions in our communities. The fear is real. The harm is real. Weeks ago, I experienced, even if only for a moment, the fear of our community that they live with every day. I arrived home to find 2 unmarked black vehicles parked outside my driveway and 2 agents standing near my lawn. To this day, I don't know why they were there, but I know how it made me feel. I felt fear, I felt unsafe, I felt intimidated by my own government. That feeling, that uncertainty, is not new for many families in our communities. It is daily life. And here we are 7 weeks into this legislative session, watching bill after bill move swiftly through this chamber, all targeting and criminalizing immigrant communities. Yet proposals that promote transparency and accountability, they are stopped before they even begin. I introduced SB 1263 that would simply require accountability from federal enforcement operating in our communities. It was never even given the chance for a committee hearing. I asked that state and local agencies adopt written policies prohibiting masked officers and requiring visible identification. Silence. Today, I offered an amendment to SB 1635, a bill that would criminalize neighbors for warning each other when enforcement operations are happening in their communities. That amendment would have required transparency. It would have required ICE agents to identify themselves. No more masks, no more hiding while they kill. The bill was held on the floor, unfortunately ruling out the possibility for bringing my amendment forward. However, holding the bill means that the measure stalls for another day. Republicans know that SB 1635 is an extreme measure that does more harm than good. It's clear that they are afraid to stand and defend this absurd legislation. We know that ICE is killing people. In 2025, 32 people died in ICE custody. We're only 2 months into 2026, and ICE has already killed or detained to death at least 9 people. Keith Porter Jr., shot by ICE. Renee Good, shot by ICE. Alex Preddy, shot by ICE. Gerardo Lunas Campos, ruled a homicide by the medical examiner. Iber Sanchez Dominguez died in ICE custody. Victor Manuel Diaz died in ICE custody. Harity Law died in ICE custody. We were told that immigration enforcement would focus on the worst of the worst, that only dangerous criminals would be priority. But that is not what we're seeing. Instead, our neighbors are being targeted, our families are being targeted. People with no criminal record, children, are being swept away. Even United States citizens have been caught in these operations, some losing their lives. Because ICE hides behind masks, nobody is held accountable. Nobody faces justice. The contrast between us and our Republican colleagues could not be clearer. They advance fear, we advance dignity. They prioritize punishment, we prioritize people. Our position is simple. If you carry the power to detain, deport, or use force, you should not be allowed to hide your identity. Why are federal agents exercising authority in our communities held to a lower standard than peaceful protesters? Shouldn't the government protect freedom and accountability equally? Or does the rules only apply to some? Our message is clear. No badges without faces. I will not be silent. I will continue to raise my voice. I will continue to fight for transparency. And I will continue to fight for every family's right to live without fear. We need ICE out of our communities. At minimum, we need them visible and accountable for the violence they're committing. History teaches us this. Fear may be loud, but it is never lasting. People are. And today we stand together united, determined, and unafraid. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Miranda. Now I would like to invite Erika Andiola, who is the political director with Andiola.
Hi everyone, my name is Erika Andiola, Erika with the K, Andiola, Andiola, and I work with the National Day Labor Organizing Network, otherwise known as Andiola. And I think today what we're asking for is the minimum. It's a no-brainer. Law enforcement, people who are roaming in our communities, literally snatching people off the streets. We can't see their faces. Obviously, our people, our communities are going to be terrified of them. This is the bare minimum for them to take those masks off and show who they are. But I wanna step back just a little bit. This administration, the reason why many people in this country believed this administration and their promises was because over and over again they used their communities as scapegoats. They used immigrants as a way of telling the American people that they would be better off without us, without immigrants. They said over and over again to the American people, to voters, to those who were trying to have a different life because they saw their groceries going up, they saw a lot of what they thought would be change. They heard this administration say that change would come by deporting people like me, by deporting people like a lot of us who are here, and people in our communities. And many believe that lie. But now we are seeing the actual reality of what his policies have created. What is that reality? Well, at Andiola, we work with day laborers. We work with people who literally risk their lives every single day seeking work. They're the most vulnerable, some of the most vulnerable undocumented immigrants in this country. They show up to corners at Home Depot. They show up to places to seek work. Somebody shows up and says, hey, I need you to build or help me build a house, or help me with this construction project. They hop in their cars or their trucks and they go and do the work. They are extremely vulnerable. And what we have seen is that ICE agents have taken advantage of that. Steve Miller, who's part of this administration, basically said at the very beginning of last year that Home Depots and daily labor corners were going to be some of the first places they were going to raid, because it was easy for them to find people who were undocumented. And what we have seen is that it has been a reality. In LA last summer, they literally, ICE agents showed up, not necessarily to protect anyone, but to cause fear. They put themselves inside of trucks, of moving trucks, and they showed up to Home Depots. They opened the moving trucks, I think it might have been a U-Haul, and got dozens of agents out of the truck with masks, not because they wanted to keep anybody safe, but because they thought this was the best stunt they could pull off to scare the crap out of people. This is the people who are governing us. These are the people who are quote unquote trying to protect us. The reality is that they're just causing fear, they're causing panic, and the bare minimum this government can do here in Arizona to protect our own citizens here in this state is to take those masks off, to ensure that there is accountability for these agents. And at least at Andiola, we're not gonna stop fighting until we don't need to reform this agency anymore. We need to ensure that this agency is gone. Because the fact is that they didn't exist before 9/11. And they were created because of fear. Because people feared immigrants, when the reality was that the majority of our community members have committed way less crime than other people in this country. So they created this agency because people were fearful. But now we see that what they became was actually the opposite of what they were trying to do. They became literally the ones who were terrorizing our communities, and they are right now the ones who are terrorizing our communities. So we're not going to stop until this agency is gone, and that there is a reform in how we treat immigrants and how this country actually creates its immigration policies. But for now, the least we can do is to take this mask off these agents. And we're not going to stop until Arizona and its leaders continue to fight for this. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Erika.
All right, next I would like to introduce Executive Director of Rural Arizona Action, Pablo Correa.
Hello everyone, and thank you for being here today. My name is Pablo Correa, and I'm the co-founder and executive director of Rural Arizona Action. Our organization was founded because rural communities across Arizona deserve dignity, safety, and true representation in local, state, and federal government. And that mission is what brings us here today. Throughout the country, ICE agents are using masks to sow fear, conceal their identities, and operate with impunity as they break into homes without judicial warrants, shatter car windows with children inside, kidnap family members in unmarked vehicles, and murder your neighbors in broad daylight. Rural Arizonans and our partners here today demand that the state legislature unmasks ICE now. Amendments have been submitted in both the House and the Senate, and leadership actively chose to vote against it and then skipped it altogether today in the Senate. Yesterday, House Republicans voted down an amendment, HB 2862, that would have banned ICE agents from wearing masks to conceal their identity. Not a single one of them voted to hold ICE accountable. And today, Senator Miranda planned to submit an amendment to SB 1635, and Senate Republicans decided to skip it altogether. This delay is a direct result of our advocacy. It also reflects a failure on Senate Republicans who don't trust their own bills. But that comes as no surprise. This legislative action Republican legislators have chosen to deepen the divide in this state. They have introduced bill after bill after bill to undermine our democracy and hand more and more power to federal agents, a cowardly retreat from a long-standing tradition of states' rights and local sovereignty. They tried and failed to pass HB 1051, a bill that will force Arizona hospitals to ask patients about their immigration status and then report on that data so it can be used by agencies like ICE for targeted enforcement. In response to the shooting of Renee Good, they introduced HB 2801, a bill that creates harsher penalties for fleeing law enforcement in a vehicle and that would absolutely have applied to someone like Renee. Just last week, Republicans tried and failed to pass SB 1570 to require counties to let ICE agents be at every polling location in the state. These bills have everything to do with helping the Trump administration meet its quota of 3,000 arrests a day, and nothing to do with public safety or improving the lives of Arizonans. At Rural Arizona Action, we seek to uplift the voices of rural Arizonans. Throughout the state, we see people standing up and showing up when it matters most. And today, we stand together with statewide representation to urge the Arizona State House and Senate to say no masked agents in Arizona. And let's fight to get ICE out of our communities. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, and that does conclude our speakers for today. But we want to close by reminding not only the media but also the community that today we have statewide representation waiting for SB 1635, and we will continue to be here, whether that's next week or the next or the next. Thank you so much for being here, and we are open for any questions. We have folks from Cochise County, from Yavapai, from Phoenix, from 5051, from Andiola. Everybody here is representing different areas. Thank you so much for being here.
No more fear!
Unmask ICE!
No more fear! Unmask ICE! No more fear! Unmask ICE! No more fear! Unmask ICE! No more fear! Unmask ICE! No more fear! Unmask ICE! No more fear! Unmask ICE! No more fear! Unmask ICE! No more fear! Unmask